All right, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish the statement on February 21st, 2020, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of the meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that the announcement be made a part of the minutes of this meeting, and I would ask all rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Barbara, would you call the roll, please?
Certainly. Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Corson?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
And Mayor Plummer.
Here.
All members are present.
All right, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2020, regular and closed session minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Okay, hearing none, would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Plummer.
Yes.
Motion's carried. All in favor?
All right. So Scott, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, good evening. Just one thing. I'm looking for approval for some classes over at the New Jersey Emergency Preparedness Association. If you remember, several meetings ago, committee had approved 3 of my deputies to attend that class. It provides us with the ability to take certain annual training that is required and obtain CEUs for that same training in emergency management. This time, we kind of opened it up to EMS this year, and Chief Sampson, Deputy Chief Coker, and one of the full-time EMTs or EMS personnel, Mike Linz, would like to attend as well. There's some active shooter training that's available this year that complies and follows a path of training for EMS personnel. And we're looking for approval. There's an early bird, I'll call it an early bird special with this, $125 per person as opposed to $205 per employee.
I'll make a motion, we authorize it. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Plummer.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Thank you, and that's all I have tonight.
Okay. Barbara, do you have anything for us this evening?
Nothing this evening, sir. Thank you.
Daniel?
Nothing at this time.
Paul?
I'm going to keep the record going. I've got nothing this evening.
Barbara?
I have nothing either.
All right. Committeeman Coggins?
2 things briefly, requests from residents of the township. One of them I've spoken to Hobie about briefly. The resident was looking to have the benches put back in the playground area of Caldwell Park, and it's my understanding that that is already in the planning stages and that's going to be done shortly. The other was from somebody who has pointed out that we seem to, or not we, there seems to be an issue with turtles crossing the road, Tuckahoe Road, just on this side of the Tyler Road Bridge. So if there would be an Eagle Scout looking for a project, or a green team, or somebody looking for an environmental type project, that might be something, if they come to the township, we suggest to them, that we put that turtle fencing up. And I realize that's a
We've done it before, and we've gotten authorization from the county, but it may be, I mean, when we did it on Roosevelt Boulevard, it was a larger capital expense than what those, I mean, the Green Team is a township-funded program, so it's not really something the Green Team can do, and, it might be more than what an Eagle Scout can do.
Actually, they've gone now with that poly pipe.
Yeah, the tube.
Yeah.
No, actually,
Well, that's what's on Roosevelt
actually,
now.
the poly pipe is the old. What they've gone now is to a PVC coated chain link
Yeah, they
fence,
put
about 18
fences
inches
up.
high. That's really,
gotten
because
smart.
the
But didn't we
PVC
have that
pipe.
originally there?
No, with like a sand, like a,
No,
No, we had
originally we had
fence
we had the PVC pipe on Roosevelt Boulevard, but the problem is, from a maintenance standpoint, you can't weed whack around it because it destroys it, and then you can't mow
Gotcha.
around it. So the county has found that it's better to use that chain link fence, holds up a little better from a maintenance standpoint, keeping grass and it cleaned up.
Yeah, but going into Avalon, they have the black PVC, or, there's some kind of, almost looks like the pipe.
And going in,
But they can
and
turn
going in
that,
to see how they have it on the guardrail, a regular chain link fence mounted.
Avalon, going into Avalon, it works better there, or it can work there, is because they put it out they have a much wider grass mowed area.
Plus they do their own
that
lawn
they can
maintenance
put it
area.
in there, that it's a mowed, manicured area, whereas like Roosevelt Boulevard or where Tucker Road would be, it's Phragmites, it's poison ivy, it's very, it's not a maintained area, so,
Right.
to do anything new, I would really recommend we'd have to do the chain link fence style.
Well, it's a county highway. So I think we should ask the petition, we shouldn't expend the money, we should ask the county to step up and spend the money. Just my thought.
Why don't we reach out to them and see if it's on their radar?
Yeah, we throw it out there.
There you go.
I wasn't looking to get involved in take on a large project for the township. It was just
I understand.
if anybody's looking for
Yes.
a way to be altruistic and take care of our wildlife, there's a real good place to start.
Yes.
And that was all I had.
All right, Committeeman Young.
the only thing I had tonight is, we're going to try to start a support group of volunteers for the special events and everything, as well as to do other things in the township. So, if anybody would be interested in helping out with these things, they can contact Larry down at the community center and get your name on a list. And that's it.
All right, Deputy Mayor Barr.
Nothing to report, but I do have a request from the residents in the area of Mariners Cove requesting a street light.
All right, we had discussed this earlier, several months ago. So is that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we get them a street light.
I'll second. Let's call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palmer?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
That's all I have.
All right. Committeeman Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one thing. We had, our rabies clinic was Saturday the 22nd. They issued 60 licenses, vaccinated 124 dogs and 23 cats. Our next rabies clinic will be sometime in the fall, I believe. So at this time, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I've had a couple requests from the Cape Mead County Herald to see if we would have any interest in being involved with. We're doing a special edition that starts, because we're starting a new decade, and what plans, potential opportunities lie in the vision of our future or horizon. But they're looking to have support for ads, if we're interested in doing that. I said that I would bring it before the Township Committee. I'm not sure if this is something that we normally would do, but I just thought that I'd bring it before you. So if there's any interest, we can talk further about it. If not, I'm just giving you a heads up.
Okay.
And then finally, just to get it out into the public, and maybe it's something that we can put on our UTTV and on our website, the Upper Township Football Association and Hobie, this was discussed Saturday morning, so they're in an effort to try and redo all the helmets for football that are more inclined to protect our youths from concussions and those kind of things. So it's the newer technology that's put in place for helmets. The helmet costs are substantial. They're over $300 a piece. And so they're embarking on a big fundraiser, and I said that we would certainly do what we could to make it known, and anybody that's looking for some sort of potential donation from, it is a 501c3, and, it's something that you could, do if you're looking, or you need some donations for write-offs in the future, so.
And I think they have that on their Facebook page.
Yeah, they have, they want to try and get 125 helmets at $300 a piece. So if anyone's interested in getting involved, let us know, and I think it's something we should put on the website as well.
And it's, it sounds like a big nut, but if a lot of people who are in business could probably sponsor a helmet, or even smaller businesses, they could buy half a helmet. I mean, they'll take any donation.
Yeah, with the new technology, they're going to the Rydell Speed Flex, which has a pad or an area right in front of the helmet that actually retracts and takes the hit and disperses the contact, so.
I'll leave because Barbara, I don't think we have this, I'll put this with the stuff to get to you so that we have some more information.
Thank you.
That's all I have, so I guess we can go on to the resolutions.
Item number 1, honoring Harry Sonny Downham on his retirement from the Township of Upper.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 2, approving the application of the Tuckahoe Volunteer Fire Company for highway coin drops.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 3, granting the appeal of the street opening moratorium for Block 845, Lot 8.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 4, amending resolution number 12, 2020, appointing various officers and employees to annual and specified terms.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 5, authorizing the award of a contract with True Green for recreation field maintenance.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 6, appointing DeVito Wines as a full-time employee to the office of the municipal clerk.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion's carried. 7, authorizing a contract with J.A. Montgomery Risk Control Services, LLC, for right-to-know inventory and survey preparation services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 8, appointing McManaman and Scotland and Bowman LLC to act as special legal counsel.
Motion to appoint.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 9, appointing Frank L. Corrado Esquire to act as special legal counsel.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 10, appointing Thomas G. Smith Esquire to act as special legal counsel regarding tax court matters and matters in which the regular township solicitor may have a conflict of interest.
Motion to appoint.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 11, appointing Frank Garashini III to serve as an additional municipal prosecutor on an as-needed basis.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 12, appointing Judge F. Thomas Hilligas to serve as a temporary municipal judge on an as-needed basis.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 13, withdrawing a prior authorization to purchase certain items in the amount of $50,826.20 from the Cape May County Open Space Program Park and Recreation Development Grant and authorizing the purchase of certain items in the amount of $51,133.10 from the Cape May County Open Space Park and Recreation Development Grant.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 14, authorizing the engineer to prepare specifications and solicit bids for a road paving project.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 15, refund EMS ambulance billing overpayment to IUOE Welfare Fund.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson? Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
It's backtrack here a
I was
minute.
going to say, I think Mr. Coggins voted twice.
Can I do that all the time?
Motion is carried. Item number 16, revised 2020 temporary budget.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 17, supporting a no-passing zone along New Jersey State Highway Route 49 between milepost 50.51 and milepost 52.95.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 18, amending a prior authorization to purchase certain items in the amount of $29,408 from an account entitled Recycling Trust Account and authorizing the purchase of certain items and for the Chief Financial Officer to withdraw funds in the amount of $31,045.84 from the account entitled Recycling Trust Account.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 19, accepting the donation of a Van Dyne surf boat from the Buckland family in honor of the Keller, Rexford, and Buckland families.
Move the resolution.
Second for the purpose, but then I have a question. Are they going to name the boat, or does the township reserve the right to name the boat?
Usually when a family donates the boat in the past, the precedent has been that they get to name the boat after who they're donating the boat to.
Okay.
That's,
I believe it's going to be named for the
These
three
families. These
Okay.
three families. It's
yeah,
gonna be-
I mean, that's been typically what we've done in the past. so.
Boat gonna be big enough?
Yeah, it's going to have the LED lights going. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 20, under new business, request for hardship waiver to street moratorium for 291 Mercer Road at Block 485, Lot 1.
Just
Got some background in this one, Paul?
This is the standard one that we've been doing because our ordinance has the moratorium. So we asked them to put up a $3,000 maintenance, it's really like performance bond to do an unfair hatch on the street opening because it's a newer opening.
Have we experienced any problems with any of the ones we've? Okay.
I mean, and we're starting another paving project. I think we should notice everybody where we're going to pave. and
We
just-
do.
Okay.
Well,
They have any
yeah,
indication?
sometimes
do
it is extenuating circumstances. They had a furnace that's 20 years old that, it decided to break down and it was time to repair it. And so they had an opportunity to switch from propane to natural gas. So, you would hope that it doesn't happen that often, but, it probably does.
But we
And this one's actually a little weird. He actually lives on Mercer, but the gas main is actually on Elmwood, so they're making a tap off of Elmwood to get to him. Elmwood is the actual street that has a street moratorium, not Mercer. It is the actual street that his house fronts on. He lives on the corner, so it's where the street
Yeah,
is.
2 front yards.
Need a motion? Motion to
Yes.
approve?
Yep.
Move forward with
We'll do this,
We'll
we'll
move
have a
forward with the
resolution.
rest of
it. Resolution,
Conditions.
Yeah.
Motion to prepare a resolution.
Motion to prepare a resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 21, Knights of Columbus, number 9113, Monsignor James Zegers Resurrection Council, request to hold a raffle, number 530, at St. Maximilian Colby Parish Hall on February 7th, 2021.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And I'll just note that they're really efficient, asking
they
already
are.
a year in advance.
Very good.
I had to do a double take on that.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 22, we have the Zoning Board 2019 Year-End Review.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Paul, is there anything that stands out on this Stockton Coastal Research Center that we?
Obviously, this is the final report, and it does encompass the survey for the beach fill.
It does or it doesn't?
You're talking about the zoning?
We're talking about the zoning.
That's right. You said coastal thing.
The only thing I would suggest is that if Tiffany doesn't already have a copy of this, she should have a copy of it.
I believe she does have a copy of it. There was nothing, from the zoning report, there's really nothing, you know, that was outstanding. The one thing that we were looking at, Tiffany and the planning board are looking at already, but there was nothing that was dramatic. A lot of the usual suspects.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 23, Stockton University Coastal Research Center, final report for 2019.
Now, Paul, ask the question.
Well, as expected, the summary, you know, encompasses the recently completed beach fill, so all is good over in the beach in Strathmere, so it's.
But actually, the beach field looks fantastic. It seems to be holding up well, and they're actually planting dune grass the other day, I saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're actually, today they started, the contractor mobilized to us, the last two, or the first two crossovers need reconstruction, so they'll be working, should have them done by the end of next week. We have lost a little bit, you know, I'll say on the point, there's been some minor losses out front, but other than that, it's in good shape to start the summer season.
All right.
Item number 24, Upper Township Farmers Market.
In the conversation I had with Dan Young earlier, I need to abstain from this.
And I think Ed's going to abstain as well.
Yes, sir.
Just if anyone's curious, they had business relationships with Mr. Zimmerman in the past.
Dan, what are we looking to do on this as far as Township Committee?
Well, I think someone should report about what happened at the planning board. My understanding is he received some type of site plan waiver with conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
You wanna handle
Since it was so
Paul?
soon, we don't have it in writing yet. The resolution hasn't been adopted, obviously.
Right.
But that was what was requested at the last meeting before you would consider, I guess, supporting it. And it's up to the Township Committee what you want to do at this point.
Yeah.
He had made a request, I don't know if it was in writing, I think it was just at the last meeting.
Right.
And also, Paul, if you want to report for the Green Team, through the Green Team, and when Mr. Zimmerman was here last meeting, he had requested support of his farm market proposal. We had asked him to get planning board
And at the last meeting,
approval.
it was asked that it be moved to the planning board for site plan approval or waiver, and the planning board did discuss it, went through it, made some recommendations from the driveway standpoint to widen that so that it would be easier for cars to go in and out. Paul had testified that there was ample parking there, and that, the amount of traffic aren't typically there more than, 15 minutes to a half hour, because they go and get their way, get whatever products they want and then move on. So it's not like, they'll have extended period of long-term parking for any particular reason. So the planning board approved the site plan, whatever, at the last meeting, last Thursday.
Next month there'll be a resolution, right?
Correct.
Right.
And one of the conditions was, providing dates, and I think that he had some preliminary dates. I think they're on your SkyDrive, just, they're still preliminary at this point, but that's what they were looking like as far as I'll say the schedule.
I think there needs clarification, what exactly is being asked of the Township Committee?
It's really just to help support it in a marketing standpoint. That's what I thought with the green team and the township posting on Facebook as far as, reposting, if they, upcoming farmers market dates and stuff like that.
We discussed it.
No financial.
Perhaps,
No liability that we could see. It was going to come back against the township because it's not a sponsored event.
I don't know if it's going to be a sponsored event, so maybe what we should do is get a written request from Mr. Zimmerman as to specifically what he's looking for, talk to our risk management consultant to see what may or may not be required. If it's not going to be a township-operated event,
No, it's not.
it really is just providing public relations data on our websites, and we can do a resolution that clarifies our role.
Yeah, and the township had nothing to do with any of the operation of it.
Right, because God forbid somebody gets hit or hurt or
Our
whatever.
green team
we
will be
don't-
volunteers
Right,
working it.
That's what I would suggest if you want to move forward, that we request a detailed explanation of what
Yeah, I know
is
that
expected of
time-wise,
the
I know we
township.
need to move forward so they can get started with their advertisements and we're starting to run into that.
Well, my understanding, he can go forward now with, as long as he complies with the planning board resolution.
Okay.
It's only what role, the question right now is what role does the township play?
Okay.
We're not approving dates or anything else,
Well,
because
no.
that was all approved by the planning board.
There's nothing to do with scheduling, anything with the event at all. Strictly just helping advertise on our webpage and things like that, which we do for quite a few other items too. And I would note that the planning board was unanimous vote approving the site plan waiver.
I mean, the dates that are provided are pretty optimistic. I mean, I can't see that the encompassing the amount of weekends and time that's put in there.
I mean, the summer is scheduled, that's what the previous farmer's market, that's
Right.
kind of the schedule that we had done. I imagine that I'll say before Memorial Day and after Labor Day are going to be more scattered weekend, not those holidays, but, it's going to depend on what kind of early interest they have and, see what they can do.
Well, Dan, can we suffice to say that the township has no objection to the farmer's market and that we would be willing to, advertise on our social media and website?
We can do that, but we may want to, again, find out, if that's all he's looking for, that's fine. We should probably get that request so we know what we're dealing with. And then also just make sure that there's no concern from a risk management point of view.
All right, could we possibly ask Mr. Zimmerman if he'd be willing to put that in writing this evening so we can
Sure.
expedite this?
Yeah, that's my suggestion, actually.
Mr. Zimmerman, would you mind coming up to the...
What I believe that I asked for in front of the zoning board was permission to hold a farmer's market and other agritourism events. We hold events at our farm all the time, which are approved by my site-specific farm app. So I don't know really what you're asking me for.
They're asking, what involvement do you want the township to partake with the farmer's market?
Are you, for example, are you comfortable with the township promoting your events on our social media and on our website and not objecting to the fact that you are having the events on your property?
I understand township, they don't need something township farm market.
Right.
But we have nothing to do with any part of it, it's all bills.
Right, it's not a township event, it's a,
No.
yeah.
So,
It's, the only thing I'm asking the township for is support with the advertising so that it's a joint venture with the advertising part of this, with the township, helping to promote this farmer's market, which I believe it's called an Upper Township Farmer's Market. As far as the people being on my property and all that, that's all covered under my insurance. I am asking for the township to help with maybe some trash pickup at the end. The green team, we've already talked about this, is going to help with volunteers with assistance in parking during the farmer's market and all these things. So really, again, like Mayor Palumbo said, Mr. Young, the only thing I'm asking for is just to be the township to help promote this farmer's market so we can make a really good farmer's market in Upper Township.
And I would mention Dan Probert, if you called it Misty Meadows Farmers Market.
It
you
would
have been
be
a site
better
plan
and less
waiver and-
confusing for a liability point of view. And also, I don't want to make it more difficult for you, but if we had something in writing, because that'll show our role, and then they would formally pass a resolution saying, here's the role of the township in your market.
But we're not going to hold you up for going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to get it done. The reason I asked you to come up was if we can get this committed to writing tonight, we can get it done tonight.
Yeah, again, I don't have any problems with that because that's all I'm asking you for.
I think what Dan's saying is we need a resolution.
Got it, okay.
With the language clear and precise.
And really it's to cover whatever, any
And that can be done at the
misconception
next
if there's a liability incident. That's really why you want the paper trail.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to ask Bill.
Yeah, again, that's not a problem. Those are some major hurdles in the farming industry today, liability.
As with everything else. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You'll get that to the clerk's office, right?
Yes.
Bill, that goes to the clerk's office.
Sure.
Right.
And just, again, I guess, the only thing you want in there is that the only thing is what I expect the township to do. Right?
What you're requesting, and then what we'll do is we'll take it from there, we'll have our internal people review it, and then a resolution will be produced.
Item number 25, deed of dedication and perpetual access easement.
Are you going to report on that?
Yes. Over the last several months, going back into probably the last summer, the planning board has been working on the municipal public access plan. I know I've discussed it here a couple times, and this is now a requirement to have a municipal public access plan as part of our beach and dune maintenance permit, which we're in the process of updating currently. And the municipal public access plan essentially delineates the different locations that the township has property, and we have to provide access to the public waterways. I have a copy of the larger map here, and you can see in the plan that, kind of provides a table of the different amenities that are at each of those locations. And essentially what the DEP requires, less of a planning document, more of a permitting document, is a requirement that the township dedicate those areas in perpetuity as open space to for the public.
What essentially is being done, or requested, is that if you look on the map, Paul identified them with numbers, M1 through 63. They're essentially the street ends that go to our waterways in the ocean. Correct?
Correct.
And what the state is asking is, it's not going to get lost in the shuffle. We want a deed recorded, an easement recorded forever that says this right-of-way is public access to this body of water, beach, whatever.
Yes.
I've already reviewed the format. If you're willing to do that as part of the public access plan, there's nothing wrong with we did a few minor revisions, but I'm fine with the language the way it's written in the deed of easement that's proposed.
So the easement doesn't go to the state, it goes to the public to be
The
able to...
state will get a
write-
copy of it, but it's going to get recorded with the county. Paul, how many other municipalities have done this? I know you're saying it's part of the plan endorsement.
Well, no, it's part of really the DEP permitting it's a requirement for your beach and dune maintenance permit, and it's going to be a requirement for future beach fills
But they're just starting to require it
They're
now.
just starting to require it now. Right now, there's probably 7 in the entire state that have got a formal approval. There's several other communities that I'll say at the juncture we're at, but they haven't done the final thing because the state's, over the last 5 or 6 years, has changed the format of this template and of their requirements, so it's kind of have left the towns kind of waddling back and forth on what to do. But because our beach and dune maintenance permit actually expires in the end of March, I kind of had to move this forward in advance of some of the other towns in Cape County.
If you think about it, it's similar to when we had to get the public rights to the beach for the beach fill. The difference is, this is the public right to get to the beach.
So all the crossovers, you got them all listed?
All the crossovers, offshore, it's at Beasley's Point Park,
Bay
Mosquito
areas
Landing.
too?
Yep, Mosquito Landing Park we have to dedicate, and then there's a couple other street ends, like in Marshallville, Cedar Avenue, actually goes up to the river, Upper Ridge Road, that right away extends out to Cedar Swamp Creek, so those are those locations.
I mean, if you're comfortable, I'm comfortable, I mean,
We'd have to bring it back for a resolution to formally adopt it, authorize it. Where are you at the planning board with this?
The planning board actually approved it last Thursday, and within we actually have the formal resolution in the municipal public access plan as presented.
So they approved the plan, now we can, so next meeting, we can do a resolution to authorize the mayor and...
Yes.
My problem with it, and I'm not objecting, here we are, we're giving up property, the township owns the property, we're giving our property rights basically to the DEP.
that's why I asked if it goes to the state or to...
It's exactly the same. You are
it's a taking.
100% correct.
It's a taking.
Well, I don't know if it's a taking, but basically, they're enforcing the public's right to the beaches and to the waterways by this document. And it's being approved as part of a full plan to DEP, and my guess is you would have significant trouble getting approvals.
Well, no,
And
if
So you're
permits.
saying, like, for instance, up at LBI right now, there's private beaches.
Yes.
Yes, that's what they're trying to stop.
That's what they're trying to
But
stop.
we have never had that issue, and we have always allowed people to use our street ends. I mean, this is not a change in practice to what we do today.
No, but
There's no new access to what we
There's
do
no
today.
new access locations. and-
What it
This
is,
is just
in
DEP
perpetuity, putting it in the record in the county that this will always be public access to our beach.
Okay.
If you've ever been to Florida, there's a lot of private access. You can't get to the beach for miles
Just
sometimes.
basically, we're just losing control of it.
Well, the other thing too, it gives the rights back to the people to be able to get access to the
No, it
beach
gives it
that
to this DEP.
is replenishing, and, yeah, but we're not experiencing the problem. Go to Long Beach Island where you can't get onto the beach because it's blocked. The people say, I own the beach, you're not allowed to come on the beach.
And if we don't do it,
You don't
we
get the money.
we don't get a beach and dune maintenance
don't get-
permit,
yeah.
meaning we
You don't
can't
get the
maintain our
punishment
beach.
money.
Oh, I'm not saying not to do it, I'm just saying it's basically,
Oh, I understand where you're coming from, but it helps the people.
they're
out,
holding
too.
us hostage.
Yes.
But you're right, it's forever, the state has now got the benefit of access to all of our beaches and waterways.
It's called a taking.
I mean, they
To be
already
frank
have
with you, they are also doing private property owners that want to install new bulkheads, docks, and slips, especially if they're in certain areas. They're asking them for a grant of public access so that the public can walk onto their property and get out to the dock.
Now, what this plan does provide, that if that person, say, can't or doesn't want to provide that public access across their property, they can, if the township, and we've put this in our, proposed items in our plan, that they can make a contribution to the township to make,
So we can
enhance
improve our access.
enhance our public access.
And that is being done for many properties that are now being built on the bayfront. You either provide public access, and those public can go in your backyard and off of your dock, or you go to this municipality and say, I'll give you X amount of dollars to improve one of your other public access. And the DEP has to approve it.
Okay,
The only question I have when I look at this,
back to fucking holding them hostage.
and I believe I'm, okay, on about the 7th page.
Are you talking about in the deed?
Page 7?
Yes, page 7. Yeah, I may not be
Public
page-
access plan, not the deed of dedication.
The public access plan, under B, limitations to public access. Access to public restrooms immediately adjacent to the shoreline is particularly limited due to lack of public sewer system, etc. Public porta potties are provided by the township at 4 locations adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean beachfront and 1 at the Beasley's Point Park. Now, my question is, having that in this plan, if it's approved, are we required to provide those public porta potties in perpetuity?
We're already required to do that in accordance with our agreement with the state and the Army Corps of Engineers to have a public-funded beach. That's part of the public access requirements, to have those restroom facilities at those spacing requirements.
All right, so that's tied to the,
Yes.
to the Corps of Engineers funding.
It's not gonna, this won't increase
It's
the
not
amount of
increasing.
units we have to have out there.
That's what we currently have. We have one at Williams, Putnam, Hawthorne, and then I think it's maybe the 2500 block in Whale Beach. I forget what the exact location, but that's about it.
I'm not suggesting we take them out. I just don't like to commit to anything that we don't have to absolutely.
Those are the required locations under the spacing that's required.
Paul, so based on this, you're saying then the private landowner has to allow the public to cross his property to get to the bulkhead?
Under certain development applications require public access. Less so for a single family, but if you're doing a multifamily project, or if you have a marina, or a restaurant, or some other public activity,
Yeah, well, that I
within the
understand.
DP regulations, but there are.
I've seen them on single families as well.
I was just
Undeveloped
wondering.
Land, a newly developed single family home on a vacant lot that's never been developed.
Because you're talking about, are they accepting liability for that? Somebody comes over my dock and
They're
falls
not
off and
accepting
drowns?
liability for it.
I'm saying,
It's the same way, I guess you could say it's an easement to the favor of the state, so therefore the state, there'll be a tort claim filed by a lawyer that's aggressive, yes.
To me, they're putting a heck
They
of a
wouldn't
risk.
accept liability, and to be frank with you, I believe the deed of dedication actually says we indemnify them.
Yeah, I said, to me, they're putting a heck of a risk on the
I
landowner.
understand, but I was just used as an example of how aggressive they are instituting the regulations for public access. Most of the landowners are not, the private people, except unless they already have people like a restaurant, or they already have public coming. Most of them will not provide the public access.
I'm not worried about
Try to go to
commercial,
the
that kind of
municipality and donate money, and then they have to talk to the state and negotiate with the state how much money basically you're gonna pay. I don't want to use the word
So it's
extortion,
not,
but how much money.
it's not really
to
geared
get out
toward
from underneath
residential,
the-
Paul?
What's that?
It's not really geared toward single-family homes.
Most of the regulation is geared towards multifamily and commercial property.
All right.
As far as, but that has nothing to do with what we're doing. That's that's the DEP regulations.
Yeah, it just kinda hit me wrong.
I raise that just as an example.
Well,
All right, so does someone want to make a motion to allow Dan to make, what do you need, a resolution to accept this?
We need a resolution on
Motion
next
to
meeting.
prepare-
Motion to prepare a resolution for the next meeting. To accept the plan and to authorize the execution of the deed.
yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to have a resolution for our next agenda.
Second.
Mr.
Oh, we're going to
Barr?
vote against it, but that, we said.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Goggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Carried. Item number 26, public outreach regarding Coastal Coalition's multi-jurisdictional programs for public information.
All right, Paul, give us a heads up on this one.
Yes, one of the activities that we're working on in order to try to garner more points in the CRS program. If you recall, I think it was 2 meetings ago, we discussed that we received that FEMA grant for the hazard mitigation plan and stormwater management plan update. You know, that was a prerequisite to get to class 4. This activity, flood insurance promotion, currently nobody in Cape May or Atlantic County is doing it. I'm helping the Coastal Coalition write it so that we can collectively get this activity, which is almost about a quarter of the points to get us to the next class level. And what it involves is a letter going out under the mayor and township committee's signature to the residents, talking about flood insurance promotion, and then also being part of a series of meetings that we're going to have throughout Cape May and Atlantic counties. Each of the different communities are going to be hosting these flood promotion meetings where we'll have insurance experts, engineers, flood managers like myself at these meetings so that residents can come in, bring their flood insurance information, bring their elevation certificate, look at their insurance policy, and make sure that properties are being rated properly. We have a lot of problems, especially on our flood properties in the flood zone that are, I'll say, offshore on the mainland area. A lot of them aren't rated properly, and that's because of a whole host of reasons. But this is a good educational way to kind of make sure that our residents are paying only what they need to pay for flood insurance and not being overcharged. Also, it's FEMA wants to give out points for this kind of activity because they need the ratepayers to cover the NFIP program. You can see on the last page, it's upwards of 105 or 110 CRS points. That's almost, like I said, almost a quarter of a class rating. So with this activity, the flood hazard mitigation plan, Scott and I are working on a flood warning system. Culmination of all that stuff, when we recertify in 2021, hopefully we're shooting to be a class 4 community, to increase our discount from 25% to 30% for our residents. So the commitment for us to be participating with this is we have to send this letter out under the mayor and committee's signature, and then we have to host a meeting, and at that meeting I need at least one township committee person present, at least at the beginning of the meeting, to kind of kick the meeting off and say why flood insurance is important. So that's
but in no way will it be detrimental to anybody that has flood insurance at this point. It could only potentially lead to...
We're just looking to help people get better flood insurance rates. By doing the activity, hopefully we'll get a percentage discount, an additional 5% discount, but, making sure that our residents are paying what they should be paying. Or if they're not, a lot of times it's, maybe putting in an extra flood vent or raising their condenser, their outside air conditioner condenser up off the ground, especially for off, on the mainland. Those are some simple things that we can try to help residents do. Or sometimes the mortgage company slams them with the flood insurance bill that, somebody never knew that they were in a flood zone, and they just get a notice from their flood insurance company that they're in a flood zone.
All right, so what do you need from us?
I just need a motion that we're going to participate in this program and
A date.
And well, I'll work on the date, but I'm going to need to work a date and a commitment from the committee that I need at least one township committee person at that meeting.
Well, this letter
Looks like we're signed
that says May 5th, 2020 at 10 a.m.
That's a sample letter I'm using.
So, but if you look at so the other thing's a sample too from us that gives proposed months because it has April there for us.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're signing up for all the different towns in the Coastal Coalition. We're in the process of filling in the dates for the different times of the year, and I'm working with different insurance agents to have them participating at there. That's part of the program, is with the insurance agents being a stakeholder in the event they're actually going to be the actual host.
But why are we in April? We have Strathmere residents that won't be here in April, so why would we not want to try and do it in June?
Part of what we're going to be doing is everybody...
That defeats what has been told to us. So we need it closer to the summer, so there's more people there. We want all the residents that are affected by this to be there.
But part of the benefit of all of us participating together is Ocean City's going to have a meeting, Seattle's going to have a meeting, Avalon's going to have a meeting, Margate's going to have a meeting, Longport's going to have a meeting.
Paul, I don't care. Listen to me. The meeting that we're having, we want to address our own residents, okay? And so our needs, and we've been told they would like it to be more closer to the summertime. the other cities want to have it whenever they have it, it's fine, but we need to have ours closer to the summertime, so there's more opportunity for the residents of Upper Township to be able to come to the meeting. And Tuesday at 10 a.m. isn't the best day either.
So what,
I would say probably Friday is better. At least people will be coming down for the weekend.
On this roster right here, are all these dates already taken?
the Margate date is taken, there's, Egg Harbor Township is doing one in July, Avalon's doing August.
Who's doing July?
We could open up in July if.
I'd say let's do July.
Do it July. July
And we'll
4th.
make sure that we have, I'll make sure that there'll be a township committee person in July.
That would be you, Rich.
So I would say either a Friday or a Monday, because at least there'll be people there for the weekend. Well, I would think it's probably impractical to get.
On a Saturday?
I don't think the state, well, unless you can get the state come Saturday. Saturday works better probably for everybody, but.
You're gonna keep them, you're gonna be there.
I'll coordinate with some dates and.
All right, so it's July is when we're gonna have the meeting. It's just a matter of trying to work out the timing.
Because I was really trying to anticipate, because we have a lot of residents here on the mainland that are in the flood zone too. We can't forget about, yes, Strathmere has a lot, but I was anticipating doing something more in the springtime for us to hit more of our offshore residents, and then really promoting a Sea Isle or Ocean City date for the Strathmere.
That's great that they're doing it for their own communities. We need to schedule it for our community. That's what I'm saying. All right, Strathmere's Upper Township, we're going to do one in July for all of Upper Township. Okay?
Yep.
Good.
Second.
Motion?
You're going to the meeting. You're not going to win this argument with me, Paul, so quit when you're ahead.
Okay, so that's your motion to accept the plan. Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Plummer.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of the meeting.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Carried.
There are two municipal department reports, clerk's office and finance office. They will be available upon request, but I'll make a motion to accept these reports.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So at this time, we'll open it up to the public. If anyone from the public would like to address the Township Committee, now is the time to do so. Please come to the podium, state your name, your address, and your reason for addressing the Township Committee.
Natalie Neese, 759 Route 15, Petersburg. Number 24, under unfinished business, the Upper Township Farmers Market or Misty Meadows. I'd like to know, is that a limited liability corporation or corporation?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't think it really concerns the township.
What is it?
It's nothing that really concerns the township. It has nothing to do with us, how they're set up as a business.
So, is it the Upper Township Farmers Market?
Only by name.
We are not taking any of the risks. We're providing tools for advertising, and then our group of the green team will volunteer to go and assist, but it's not our event.
Is it Misty Meadows?
Excuse me?
Is it Misty Meadows Sheep Farm?
They're the ones that have petitioned to move forward with that in conjunction with the amount of area that they have on their property. They've offered their property for potentially Upper Township or a farmer's market, like we had in the past over at Ulmer's property over on Route 9 there.
What happened at Ulmer's, the Upper Township Farmers Market? Why did that come to a halt?
I don't know all the total details, but he no longer felt that it was something that he was interested in providing his land for. I think that was part of it. And then there was also some issues with, getting organized and volunteers and those kind of things. So it was a combination of things, really.
Was there an issue with the taxing?
With the what?
The taxing on the property?
That had nothing to do with the township. That's an agricultural thing that he was working with the county. County makes that decision.
So it had nothing to do with Upper Township taxing?
The county is the one that determines if it's an agricultural.
I don't know what Natalie's really asking. Was there a tax appeal? Yes. Did it relate to the farmer's market? If you ask the township, no. Mr. Ulmer may have a different opinion, but I can't tell you what his opinion is. So the answer is, basically, we don't know. He was taxed not as a farm during the period because a farmer's market doesn't constitute a farm. Yet he still had to operate a certain amount of acreage as a farmer, and he stopped.
He stopped.
He didn't operate as a farmer. He didn't sell his hay. But that's a different issue than the farmer's market.
So a farmer's market is not a farm?
No. In his instance, you can have a farmer's market at a farm. To be a farm, you still have to farm. He didn't farm at all. That's what the tax appeal is about.
Yeah.
So, okay. I attended the planning board meeting on February 20th as a citizen, and I believed the commercial agriculture use on Block 47617 at 100 Dennisville Petersburg Road is not a permitted use. And I based that on the Upper Township Master Plan, which has it zoned as residential use and has been back to prior to 1985. So my question is it true only the zoning board has the authority to determine whether or not a farmer's market with 20 outside vendors is specifically permitted in the Upper Township residential zone on Block 47617?
Now, even though it was zoned in a residential area, he still has the land that it takes to qualify to be a farm, as Mr. Zimmerman's running right now. Our zoning official went through this and issued a letter to them saying that they were a conforming use and that it was grandfathered in and has been a farm since the 30s. So that use has never went away.
And my understanding is Ms. Neese has an appeal of the County Agricultural Board and also the State Agriculture Development Committee for that very issue. So I'm not really, and two things, it's not the jurisdiction of this town, of the Township Committee to decide those issues. That issue would be decided by the zoning officer, which we've talked about many times before, or the planning board with an appropriate application before it. And apparently that was reviewed and addressed at the planning board and prior by the zoning officer.
Correct.
But that's my exact question. Is it true only the zoning board has the authority to determine whether or not a farmer's market with 20 vendors is specifically permitted on Block 476, Lot 17?
This was a permitted use with a farm, so that's why it went to the planning board, not the zoning board.
Who determined that?
Our zoning official determines that.
I think what she's trying to say is that she feels it should have went to the zoning board. By asking us questions, she's trying to get you to say, yes, it should have gone to the zoning board. And again, it was addressed by the zoning officer, the planning board, and they apparently proceeded with a site plan waiver application. So they must have, in their opinion, which they are allowed to do, to say, we think this is a non-conforming permitted use, and we're going to continue with that assumption and review the application. I wasn't there. That's only an assumption. This Township Committee doesn't have enough facts before it to make any determination, and really, it's not its job. It's the zoning officer's job, the planning board in an appropriate case, and the zoning board. So you're asking a question that can't be answered by the township committee.
So this was based on a a planning board application.
Natalie, I just answered that question. You've asked the same
Okay.
question again.
Do you know what the date of the planning board application is?
No,
Well, the
I don't
meeting
have
was
it.
on February 20th.
I don't have it. We don't have, we're going to get a resolution. I did see the application, if that's what you're asking.
And any of those questions really are to the planning board, not to the township committee, as Dan said.
And you've been told that 3 times now.
All right, we'll just...
Okay, well, my point is that I read in the newspaper that this came before the Township Committee on February 10th, and it was reported in the newspaper on the 19th, and I went to the planning board meeting on the 20th, and what I learned was the application before the planning board was filed on February 13th. So I just wanted to be clear about that. I don't know if anybody here is clear about
That's a
it.
question for the planning board. We don't have any access to those records without pulling them before the meeting, and it's really not an issue that the township committee would be involved in.
Okay. Furthermore, I own properties, block 47629, which abuts 47617. I own 4561301 and 4561302. And I'm curious what y'all think I can do with my property.
You'd have to go to the planning board and
No.
zoning board.
She needs to talk to the zoning official first. And the zoning official will make a determination of what the use of your property is. And you have to decide what you want to ask for. That'll determine what board you go for and what use you can have on that property. We don't make that decision up here.
So the zoning official makes that decision?
No, you as the homeowner or property owner would make the decision what you want to do with your property.
I'm sorry, like Hobie's Head.
She will guide, the zoning official will guide you to what avenues you should follow based on what you want. That's her job. It's not our job up here to do that.
So she can change the zoning on my property,
No, she can't change the zoning on your property, that's not what you asked.
but she can change the zoning on
No, this property was a
47617.
farm and had been farmed since the 1930s, and it was a proven fact and verified by the county. You don't want to accept the fact that our zoning official
What'd you
did her
say, the
job.
1930s?
Probably the
Well, let's put it this way, I was
1840s.
born there in 1952 next to it, and Mr. Greenlee was in his 70s, and he'd been there since he was a kid. And it was a pig farm, it was a soybean farm, and it's always been a farm. It's always had a residence on it, just like Mr. Zimmerman's has a residence on it. That doesn't, just because there's a house there doesn't change the fact that it's a farm.
And what about my property? If you
Your
were-
property's never been a farm. You
Well, what-
subdivided it, you had 2 houses on it. So that changes your use of your property. You were never a farm. If you had 5 acres there and you could qualify with the county, am I right, Paul? Then she could qualify for a tax exempt on a farm. But you don't have that.
So you're sure my property was never a farm?
Not- Well, I'll go back 67 years that I know that it wasn't a farm.
But my property has historical significance?
Has a historical what?
Significance.
I guess the Daniel Boone or Davy Crockett house probably is. But that doesn't change anything for it being a farm.
Well, this-
We've addressed this numerous times.
And the subdivision did not change that?
Well, I think we need to stay to the topic again. I think you were concerned about the site plan waiver. The other issues that you're asking have been, in the past, you've been given an explanation. As Mr. Young stated, there are some civil cases that's going on or whatever that you're involved with.
What is it?
Isn't that what you Isn't there a court case?
My understanding from talking to the State Agricultural Board that Natalie filed an appeal against Mr. Zimmerman.
Really?
That's what it said, that there was an appeal pending.
Against who?
Mr. Zimmerman for the county records, that's what the State
Are you
Agricultural.
sure it wasn't against the Cape May County Board of Agriculture?
Well, that's the appeal. It was their.
But it wasn't
they
against
appealed
Mr.
their
Zimmerman.
decision On Mr. Zimmerman's farm.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to address the Township Committee? All right, it appears that there's no further comment from the public portion of the meeting. I'll close the public portion and entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are contract negotiation with New Jersey Transportation Corp. lease agreement for Tuckahoe Rail Station, for Upper Township Rescue Squad, and for basic life support and ambulance services, and also personnel. I also include in my motion the estimated time and circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Forson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion carried.
For those of you that are traveling home, safe travels, and have a good week.